pattern here in these interior designers? What is it that obviously they're thinking about? It's definitely a wide open space with high ceilings, glass and light. It's toy colors, primary and pastel colors. It's toy materials, wood and plastics. It's playground materials. You can use grass, sand, trees, artificial ones. Playground installations, you see slides, swings, cages, and bowls, all kinds of toys that adults would play with, so arcades, football tables, and using fictional themes. The overarching idea is if we can create the office space so that in all its surface features it imitates how a playground looks and works, then surely we will create a space that gets people into a playful mood, into a playful mindset, and thereby creativity and well-being happen. To me, sort of the epitome for this kind of design principle that went through the design press 2-3 years ago and was celebrated is this little store here, Choo-Choo Toy Boutique, which is not an office space, it's a toy boutique at the Grand America Luxury Hotel in Salt Lake City, Utah. And so basically you have exactly this kind of large space with lots of toys placed in there, and you have your artificial trees, and you have all your implements put out, and then on the one side of this thing you have this one interesting interactive wall. So you have this interactive wall with all of these kind of little pictures, with virtual fictional pictures behind the pictures. The promo video, you notice the only place where the kids actually gather in that space is in front of those displays. It's not in any other part of the space. And even in those displays, they desperately try to interact with them, only to discover that these are just repeat movies that don't interact with you as a person at all. And I think that's sort of, in a certain sense, that's sort of the exact same phenomenon that happens in these office playgrounds, in these playful offices. It captures something, it captures two terms for me that I always like to latch onto, which is, if you look at these two examples here, right, this one thing here on the left and this one thing here on the right, which one would you feel is more inviting of playing, of actually playing around, of getting in a playful mood? Who would say the one on the left? Good job. Who would say the one on the right? 1, 2, 3. Okay. From those who said on the left, why the thing on the left? Okay. Why could you do anything in that thing? And then with this one on the left side, why could you do anything in that? It leaves more up to the imagination. It's not finished as a visual representation. It's freer, right? It's freer just in terms of the fact that it's rough, but it's also freer, you could argue, in the very fact that this is makeshift. So by the very fact that it is makeshift, it sort of says it doesn't matter if you change this thing or if you break it apart or if you do something about it. Versus the other thing is finished, fixed, polished, and says basically, this is nice, come and admire me, but by God, don't play around with me, actually. And as I said, educators have actually found a very nice term for this. They call it the creepy treehouse, an institutionally created, operated, or controlled environment in which participants are lured in by mimicking pre-existing open or naturally formed environments, or by force, through a system of punishment or reward. It's basically this idea that a lot of actually also play in education, or so it is, where I as the teacher, or as the institution, or as the office person say, come here, right, this is a super playful space, but then please play by my rules. And please, you have to play here, right? Versus the other one on the left side is what Christopher Alexander, one of the inventors of patterns as a design principle, called the adventure playground as a design pattern for good livable cities. Set up a playground for children in each neighborhood, not a highly finished one with asphalt and swings, but a place with raw materials of all kinds, natural boxes, barrels, trees, roads, etc., where children can create and recreate playgrounds of their own. The difference between the two, on the left one, the adventure playground,
ร้านในเครือบุ๊กออฟเป็นร้านขายของมือสองที่มียอดขายสูงสุดเป็นอันดับหนึ่งในประเทศญี่ปุ่น
kinds of possibility spaces where you actually have a large amount of possibility and choice in what you do with these things. Now, the great thing about this design principle, I give you a possibility space, I give you freedom, is that in architecture, we actually have a practical historical example for people doing that. So we can see whether this theory works out. The case in point is the Action Office, designed by Robert Gross in 1964 for Herman Miller, which back at the time when it was created had a very strong underlying conceptual program. It was not just a nice piece of design, they were actually thinking about office work relatively hard. Right, in the little brochure that you got when this thing got introduced, you could read, right, today's office is a wasteland, it traps vitality, it blocks talent, frustrates accomplishment, has a depressing capacity, etc. And instead we want to have an office that allows you to live better with your work, to do your work better, a place where we would say you're not doing tedious work, you're doing creative work of the mind, and therefore the office should be a mind-oriented living space. And what's the most important bit for that mind-oriented living space? It is, as Robert Probst put it, it is change. It is the fact that our current environment changes, and it's the fact that if you solve creative problems, you have to be able to adapt your own work environment to just fit exactly those needs. So in this thing, in another places, he actually articulated a set of design principles that he tried to embed in this Action Office. The forgiving principle that we must be allowed to be able to change, as in a playground, we must be allowed able to play around, to change the office environment if things change, if projects change, if people change. We must have grace with that kind of change, and what he calls online timing and expression is basically, we must put a lot of the agency and the autonomy about these kinds of things to the individual office worker down there. And he didn't just articulate these kinds of principles, he was also one of the first ones to say, hey, there is something about collisionable spaces, right? Once we get people out of their predefined, seated, stuffy places, and once we get them moving around in space, we will get great things. And he was one of the first, one of the other kind of most recent trends, people who said, we should have standing desks, we should have sitting desks for the very same reason. So we have these list of great dictators that were standing, and we all should be standing. So the vision that we have is that you have these open spaces with things that are predominantly around sort of half seating, half standing, but where you have these kind of highly modular furniture pieces in and of themselves that are then also highly modular in where you want to place them in the space. If you just have your open space, you place these things where you want it, what you want it. Now, in 1964, when the Action Office came out, one activist was celebrated in the press, but it didn't sell. It partially didn't sell because it was way too luxurious, and it partially didn't sell because at that time people in offices started to rationalize. So because it didn't sell, 1968, Action Office 2 came out, Blunckhoff Design by Probst. And in response to the fact that the first one didn't sell, he actually doubled down on his philosophical principles. Now, he said, all components of the office, even the individual little pieces, have to be mobile and remakeable. So the whole idea was basically to design something that was completely invisible, that disappeared from view, and that would allow you, the individual worker, to completely configure your workplace however you wanted. It was literally the office reimagined as Lego building blocks, together with basically tack boards of all kinds, so that you say, I don't tell you what kind of images or stuff like that to put in the office, you can do this thing. Action Office 2 took off in sales, was rapidly implemented and adopted across all kinds of offices, was rapidly imitated. There are now like 40 odd different interior furniture companies that do that kind of design, and the way they do it is basically today's reality, which is the cubicle hell. The Action Office, which was designed to be a total modular playground for the individual worker, became quite the contrary, a system used to basically trap everybody into a little pre-specified rat cage. The question obviously is why? Well, as Robert Probst himself noticed, the dark side of all of this is if you give you something highly modular, is that not all organizations, as he put it, are so enlightened to then actually give their employees the freedom and the literal physical free space to do that kind of thing. Instead, they use this very system in order to be as rational, space maximizing, and sort of efficiency maximizing as possible. The thing that the office playgrounds overlooked, and the thing that is very hard for you as designers to bring into the space, is that if you want to design for play, you also have to give people toys that are open for exploration and open for recombination. You also have to underspecify them. That is, you should not prescribe how they are used. You should give that agency to your users. My favorite example of that is Minecraft, obviously, as kind of the digital version of Lego right now, where in Minecraft, likewise, what you do with these things. So if you want to do beautiful landscapes, or ships, or video game characters, or 2-scale representation of the USS Enterprise, or a virtual penis, that's up to you. And actually, that's a good sign for once, right? We have this sort of semi-joking metric in internet research, which is time to penis.